Welcome, Indu. Indu is
Thank you.
from Czech Republic, is that right?
No, we are in Krabi now, Thailand.
We've been here on nearly about an hour, and fantastic that you're here. I'm gonna give you some time to Martin and Indu if you have questions to ask Sunyata. And today's topic is this: is it in relation to the seekers? So please feel free to communicate to Sunyata.
Hello.
Hello.
That makes it easy.
That's
Yeah,
better.
it's good to see your face. Good to see your face. We can be private too. Hi, Martin. Now you're on a different time zone, Martin. We both must be. Now, you are very early morning, Martin. Whereabouts are you coming in? Where are you coming in from, Martin?
So originally, I am from Czech Republic. Now we are staying in Thailand.
You're now in Thailand. And Indu, whereabouts are you? Where are you at the
same.
moment?
We are partners.
Very good. All right, lovely. Well, that makes it easy. All right, good. All right.
Both
all right,
Martin and Indu had done some work with me, and as the ongoing spiritual journey, we perhaps need to help to rise the vibration, to hold space for each other.
Ekomananda, may I see you Friday?
Yes. Thank you so much, Sheree. And Sheree has been with us for an hour. That's so beautiful. And thank you for your wonderful words and absolutely no expectation on anything. That just my gift on Saturday. Thank you. Lots of love to you and go enjoy the sunshine. And see you on Friday.
Thank you so much. And lovely to meet you.
Lovely.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Indu.
Lovely share. See. All right, so we're down to 4. Bye-bye.
Sunyata, thank you very much. Thank you.
Before Indu and Martin go ahead, I just wanted to say this is Facebook Live. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, and your questions are helping the audience as well, because many of the healers or people who intend to become healers, people are going through transitions. They have the same questions. They're not here. So the live session is helping people to watch the videos later on, and even for yourself to go back and look at what has been answered.
Right. Yeah. So we've got an hour of time in where we've been cooking. And so I'll try to catch you up. We've been tackling, or not tackling, but taking on the subject of this is it. My initial interest was the question of the seeker and whether it's necessary or not, whether the seeker is necessary or not in our spiritual pursuit. So we got into this with Sheree, and she made some lively and personal contributions to what the conversation was. We're going to have to sort of catch up, and because I'm feeling like we're quite advanced into the conversation, take it back a few steps. Perhaps I should ask some questions. Are you, could I ask, are you meditators? You have a meditative practice?
Yes.
Yeah, both or no?
Yes, both. Yes.
Both. Can I ask you a little bit about that, the background, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, so I will say first. So I've been meditating since I was teenage age itself, then on and off about it. And then I started really into meditation after my 30s. I've been doing third eye meditation. That was how I was initiated to Kundalini meditation. And then third eye meditation is what I was taught to. And then I kind of lost touch, because in the teenage age itself, I kind of lost touch with the center. It's back in Malaysia. And then I've been just doing on my own. I don't have teachers, so I always do on my own. And I try to get some messages from the higher self and so on, and whether I'm doing okay or not. And then I started Vipassana meditation. I went for 2 10 days Vipassana meditation course. and I really loved it. But again and again, I come back to the third eye meditation. Somehow, I don't know why. After I left the Vipassana meditation room center, when I come back home, I fall back into the third eye meditation and I keep going. It's really going great. No issues with that. But
Right.
I don't have teachers to ask question like, am I doing correctly? Is this the right way? I did ask Apple about it, and she said there's no right and wrong way. If it feels right for you, then you are okay. You're doing it okay. Yeah.
Okay. There's the seeker. What is your aspiration with meditation? What's your aspiration?
To just be calm and peaceful. That's the first thing. And that's what pulls me again and again to meditate, no matter what rush hour or whatever things that I'm doing. There's a true calling for me to get into meditation that time. And when I meditate, I feel really good. That's first thing. But another thing is the seeker. As a seeker, I want to know, is this your team, like is this is this all it is, or there's further to it, and there's something more that because there was one time when I was in Czech, I was regularly meditating every day twice without without skipping. So every day I was doing meditation, and that was totally different experience I gained. So the experience was I totally lost somewhere, and I don't know where. My mind doesn't know where, but I feel so calm, peaceful. It was darkness, it's nothingness. And then exactly after 1 hour, I come back and I don't know what happens. And my mind is very curious to know, what is this? Where did I go? And it's exactly 1 hour.
Yeah, the mind wants to know, but there's some things the mind can't really know.
Yeah.
This is too great for the mind to grasp.
Yeah.
The mind can't put it into terms.
Yes. There are sometimes
it can't do it. It's too immense. If you allow yourself to fall completely into this as it is, just as it is, nothing special, nothing extra. Yeah. The mind is quiet. Thoughts arise, they come, they go. If you've done Vipassana, you've usually grasped that thoughts arise and they disappear. And the self-association, the thought, it isn't the self. Thoughts just arise. They look to be the self because they're around the subject of the self, perhaps. But a lot of thought isn't around the subject of the self. It might be really removed. We could put ourselves into it. We do put ourselves into it. But that's not the truth of what the self is. The self is free of that. And we're free of the self. The self, too, is just something which is functioning, part of the happening, part of how things are moving. And the self can be with that if it flows for the self, looks to flow for the self, or if it looks that we walk into a wall or the self walks into a wall, it might protest it. Or it might know that a wall had to happen there. That's okay. I'll just walk around it. Or I'll work with it, and you might experience this in relationship, perhaps, where one of us wants to go one way and another one wants to go another way. And so we have to communicate for it. And the mind is limited for what perhaps the self is seeing. The self is seeing something more expanded, possibly, be more narrow. And in the scope of the other self, there's a separation that happens through mind. But there's no separation, really. There's just mind that's occurred and something needs to be worked through. And sometimes these things can be not pleasant. I'm just pointing at relationship. This can happen at anything. It can happen through being annoyed with the drive a motor car, and someone all of a sudden sort of, does something that frightens you. So anyway, you've done a good amount of meditation, so that's all fine. Martin, what's your experience, can I ask? We lost contact.
They dropped out. Perhaps we can just contemplate on that.
It's interesting, comes back in after, when all of a sudden we've been there for an hour and then we get 2 new visitors. Most like we have to sort of kickstart the whole thing again. Very interesting.
Martin and Indu, fairly more familiar with the spiritual energy, if I may say. I tend not to use the words advanced to separate, people or
yes, that's right. Yeah, well, I know, and this is how we do this. This is how we do this. This is how it gets spoken about. Advanced is not the right way. Has spent more time, but time could be irrelevant. In the first early meditations, effectively, it was, there were experiences instantly. Meditation formally for me came years later. It didn't even occur to me to meditate. I mean, it was part of what I was doing. It definitely was part of what I was doing, but it didn't occur to me that that was the important thing. The sense of self was so expanded into its own sense of relationship to life that meditation looked like a small point. It still is, actually. I still see it this way. But it just depends on the attitude that we have about it. On another level, I can see that meditation is through everything. See, there's the formal aspect of meditation. And then there's the life aspect of meditation. We saw that with Cherie when she had that moment of realization that thought was just arising. And you instantly can see that. That's really interesting. And of course, that's meditation. There, in that moment. And that's advanced meditation, if you have the recognition of it. And sometimes, this thing needs to be pointed out. And I'm looking at this very, very carefully. And that's why I brought up the question. The question is, what's the relationship of the Chela and the teacher, student and the teacher? Is it necessary? Yes, it is necessary. I think, I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question about the seeker. So a seeker, if there's no seeker, then there's no need for a teacher. And when we say seeker and teacher, it has to be equivalent to the seeking. Like if you're seeking God realization, then you have to be with a master who can talk with you around God realization. Perhaps I just brought that up as an example because it's a good one. Or what we might call enlightenment. And no one dares sort of come out and sort of say, I'm enlightened. It's an oxymoron. Like, I'm enlightened about what? Like you put it into a jar, it's something to sort of sell. You can't. There's no way that you can put this into an equation. Lucky you, Martin, being in Thailand. How lovely. Ekomananda and I had a bit of a chat while you were gone, so that might be interesting for you to look at afterwards. But the idea of levels of meditation and calling advanced meditation, I would say any one pertinent realization in meditation is it. You can be like this. It depends on what you're seeking out of meditation. A lot of people, come to meditation because they want to do no mind. They don't, want to get away from the thoughts because they believe the thoughts is the self. And then usually what happens is anyone who usually can sit through a Vipassana or two can see that thought arises. It's not necessarily the self. Would you agree? Would you agree? Perhaps I'll ask you, Martin. You've done Vipassana too, Martin? Have you done Vipassana?
Yeah, I did Vipassana. Yeah, I did.
Yes. Did you enjoy it?
It's hard to answer simple way. It's because my way of being is a bit different than Hinduists. I've been knowing myself that I'm not from the earth from young age. Mm-hmm. And I have a strong knowing about past lives since I was young. So, and recently I discovered that I have a strong ego because of some other lifetime incarnations as a certain beings known as the draconians. So I've been accepting recently my ego because I was denying my mind. So for the purpose, I realized I have a kind of thing, because when you talk about meditation and purpose, I always tell people, what is your purpose? What is your intention? And while I've been listening to you, I've been contemplating my things because I realized just now that because I don't have many questions, and it's been because I realized my ego define itself as I know everything. So this has been something I've been dealing all my life, But when
can I ask you a question? What's it like to know everything? I'm poking you a little bit. What's it like to know everything?
Thank you. Yeah, because I'm trying to tell my mind that realizing that my mind actually doesn't know much about what's happening in other realms. That's I'm trying to bring my mind down to earth.
Good.
Because I have a strong intuition, so overcome my ego actually is through my intuition, and my intuition led me to certain meditation because I love guided meditations more than the silent meditation or just listening to music. That's my meditation because my mind is quite active and strong, and meditative music or guided meditation helps me to snap out of that habit of thinking because I usually overthink too much. And I came across meditations. It's actually channeled meditation by the being called Orin. And it's beautiful because these meditations are directly working with the spirit. So it's awakening the connection with the spirit, which I love the most because that helps me to realize myself, see myself as a spirit within. So this is my way of meditation, working directly with my own essence and my higher self.
Right. All right. So now there's lots of here curiosity. So in realizing your spirit, and I have to sort of understand that language. By spirit, you mean what?
Is it the essence, the light, the core within my soul? That life-giving source of light and energy.
And its relationship to life, like your movement in life. Can I ask? want to get into personal questions, but I'm not sure if it's appropriate to sort of go into questions. Maybe I need you to lead.
Be straightforward.
Maybe I need you to lead. Otherwise, what will happen is my curiosity will drive us into a personal conversation. And I don't think it's probably appropriate that I go into your personal thing here. I think what we should do is perhaps focus on meditation for a moment and how to distinguish the self and that sits before the self.
Can you repeat your question?
Maybe it might be good to have a look at what the self is, right? Okay, here's the self. We assume the self. I know the self. You know the self. What sits before the self? What sits behind the self? Everything that you know, everything that you say, everything that you do, everything that you intuit, everything that arises in your mind, every action that you do through a day, everything, your body, all of this, who sits behind that? It's an impossible question. It's an impossible question. You can see, you can't, because you can't know it. Look, if you look very, very carefully, I mean, we can call things, we can identify qualities, we can identify ways we come and do, we can identify the way we'd like things to become, our will, our actions, our doing. But you can get yourself caught up in the conundrum of the will perpetuating something. It might be perfectly right. It might be perfectly correct. It might be totally preoccupying. But is that true? Is that really true?
For me, there is nothing. I don't have a great answer for that.
Yes, yeah, interesting. And so, because at this space, then we can be very, very relaxed because we're identical. You know, it's not one disposition in opposition. We're not going anywhere. We can just be in this as it is. No direction, no otherness, just this. No separation.
Yeah, what I feel only, what came to me through your question is my favorite space is nothing, just be.
Say that again. Say that again.
What comes to me is my favorite space is actually nothing, just, as you say, the oneness, nothing.
Oneness. Yes, okay, good. So in oneness, and then now beyond that, because we say oneness and we say nothing.
This is the space where my mind can go. This is the space I feel always. That's since I was young, I was questioning one thing: how is it possible to create something from nothing?
Well, you've done it.
Yeah.
We do that with the self, but did we create it?
If we did create it, the question is?
Yeah, did we create it, or was it created for us? It was made, like lots of individuals have been behind making up this self. I mean, I can't separate from this self, but I'm not this self. I can separate from this self, but not to do anything in this world. All the action of this world happens through the self, you see. And if I'm back behind in the nothingness, then I just sit and there's nothing to do. There's no point to even move. You don't even eat.
It is because I see, even at the moment, I see as observing everything from the heart perspective or inner perspective, whatever it is. That everything is happening within that it is. Doesn't have a name. So my mind approaches, but can't understand. I won't understand. That's what I see.
I can't, because it's just an appearance. It much appears, but we don't know what it is. All of this is far greater than anything that I can perceive.
Yeah, what I maybe not understand, because I have most of the time, like now, I can perceive, let's call it higher self, and I can see observing myself now, the conversation. But it seems this is just like one aspect of whole. And then what I'm asking to, actually, I have only one question in my life, what is beyond all of this? And I can see that.
Right, can I ask a question then? When you say you're looking at all of this, are you meaning like an out of body looking out of this, like looking back at your body? Is that what you're saying? Or out of your body?
Yeah, I would say it's a connection to my higher aspect of my soul. I don't call it from out of the body. I call it more like a connection with my higher aspects. It's like,
all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have name for it.
How do you perceive that? How do you perceive that?
It's as a vision, as a feeling, as a sense. And but always, it was as a seeker, it was always the question: what is beyond that? That connection to that oneness or nothingness. And
so, can I ask you a question to extend this a little bit? So, would you say that you have? Are you aware of cosmic consciousness?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So there's that expanded sense beyond the body. Yes. This happened really early?
I would say yes. I have it since young age, on and off. Depends if my mind is calm or not. Just depends on my state of the mind. So now I feel calm. I feel secured. So I feel safe, and I feel my consciousness is expanded, connected to that higher part of myself, or soul self, or whatever to call it. Because to be honest, I don't like to name it, because more we name it, more we separate it. So I prefer that's why I struggle to talk to people, because I don't like to name it. For me, doesn't have a name. For me, doesn't have a name.
I agree. My understanding of this is that this is part of the natural state, sahaja. This is part of the natural state, and all beings have it. We're born with this. We're born into this. We are this. We are this. It's very pleasant to be aware of this, but it doesn't have any functionality for the way that the self is organized in this world, except to feel okay. Yeah, we have to be much more close to the body form itself. We can be in the expanded state of mind and describe these different states. And if the intuition is very, very keen, it can be accurate about things extended beyond the body. This takes a lot of discipline to do these particular things. if you were wanting to do these particular things and for who you want to do these particular things, because the conversations are really particular. And I can maybe make an example here of Ekomananda, where she would go into a particular, and I'm just speaking from a secondary position, takes on a set of disciplines to become a healer and have the sensitivity to be able to have a listening and foresight for another person, to be able to take them through certain experiences so that they can become aware of those things, so that they can balance out whatever that disturbance might be, or that necessity might be, or for where that emanation may need to go to. Yes? Here you are for the spirit in meditation, and with this awareness, and we won't name it, because you're right, cosmic consciousness is a stupid idea. If you just call it consciousness, it's not adequate. It's not adequate. But the issue is you're coming into the spirit of the self, which is housed in the body, to have your function be clear and good. Yes? Yes? I'm not meaning to put words into your mouth, by the way, because I would probably choose a million different words. But there's this interest in the spirit. The interest of the spirit is to be in the body.
It's just not in the body. It's actually, for me, it's a funny thing. When we want to explain things to people, it doesn't have a words, actually. For me, it's everything is happening within the spirit. The spirit is everywhere and around, from within, outside, everywhere. So, yeah, so it's hard to explain particular thing, you know.
No, I understand. Good enough. Good enough. Good enough. Good enough. And that's what's happening.
You know, I feel like a blessed that I can be in present in someone like you, because it's actually, it requires less words. It's more like of being connected rather than talking, you know.
Well, if we had the luxury of being together in a physical space, we'd probably laugh a lot.
Yeah.
What aspects of this troubles you? Can I ask you that?
Actually, you nicely described it, because all my life, actually now I'm getting to the point that I'm starting accepting my body and liking my body, because all my life I was actually denying my body. I was denying my mind. Since I was young, I had a strong urge to understand who I am and lots of things, because I didn't understand myself from the human perspective, right? So I was struggling. I wasn't grounded. I wasn't interested in having house, having this stuff. So have a common life was a big struggle to me. I spent 7 years in Australia. Last 7 years, it helped me to kind of ground myself down. But
that would do it.
Yeah.
7 years in Australia will do it to you. Yeah, all right. And so is this a holiday, or are you coming back to Australia?
Not sure. Hopefully, maybe we're gonna get opportunity to stay there, but I don't know. We'll see what's gonna be in the future.
Oh, good.
So the point was that finally I understand much more energy of my body, that lower, let's say, how we call it, 3D energy consciousness of my body and my ego, because I was kind of denying my ego because it was so strong. And I saw, since I was young, to be honest, since I was young, I was seeing kind of horror-like horrible visions in my eyes, in my mind. So I was starting denying my mind, starting denying dreams, blocking my dreams and this stuff. So kind of my life wasn't really good because of the way of creativity was limited. Everything was limited because of these kind of not pleasant visions I had. But past 2 years, when I did lots of shadow work, lots of dark healing of my dark part of my soul, and going really deep, because my higher self is really how to say it. I experienced lots of darkness to explore as a part of my journey. So I've been clearing lots of things, start understanding. That's why my ego is like that. Understanding the pictures behind it. Understanding that my was an empath, a strong connection with all energies around me. But I understood finally that I was always seeking connection to the denser, darker, or heavy energy. So nowadays I'm practicing to remind myself to choose a rather light, connect with the much more pleasant things rather than heavy things. So it's kind of still new to me, still like a transition to get used to more like that human being life, be grounded, which is new to me still, because I always was somewhere like, flying somewhere away.
Right. Okay.
That used to be my lifestyle. So now it's kind of new to me still.
Right. You got me wanting to go into personal questions. And I'm not going to. We'll do this privately. But what can I just ask you one question? When you say ego, what do you mean by ego?
My understanding, ego. When I say ego, means that's my human-like consciousness, much more the consciousness, the mind of this body. Rather, if I say it, distinguishing my higher self, my higher mind, my cosmic mind versus my very human, intellectual, survival mind. Yeah,
that's what you mean by the ego. That's what you mean by the ego.
Yeah.
All right. And what's the issue with that? Is it really an issue with?
Issue is it's not becoming issue anymore. It's more because I start understanding all why so strong my ego, why I behave like I behave, because my behavior since I was young, I always felt like I have like split personalities, right? Or multi-personalities. Because since a young age, I was aware of many things, my multidimensional self, my past lives, other lifetimes of other people, and everything was blending into one whole, And at that time, I didn't understand what's happening. So I was confused. I didn't have my identity. I didn't have my physical identity. I wasn't identifying myself with this body. I rather identify myself with other people. So it was kind of confusing to me, not grounded, lots of anxiety, lots of fears, that was lots of distraction to my life. But now
can you see that all this is unreal? I'm going to take you back to nothingness again.
Yes, I'm getting to
that. When we go into nothingness, it completely empties out of everything, and everything becomes null and void. Nothing. Reality is reality. There's walls, and there's hard things, and there's bodies, and there's matter, and these things are really so simple. It's not worth even mentioning. And then everything else is empty and void. Everything else is empty and void. It's has no issue in itself, except that it arises. Except that it arises, in that it arises inside of us as thought, because thought isn't ours. It's not my thought. I didn't make this.
It's a thought, yeah. I know where you're going. Yes, this is something.
I didn't do any of this. None of it. But there's a self in the middle of it all, creating something of it, but that's unreal. But it's real to this world, but it's unreal. It's not absolute. We have to turn, if we're going to get to nothingness, we have to go to absolute, because here we can have a grounding, because you come back to that simplicity, because there has to be an acceptance. There has to be an acceptance of everything as it is. This is it. Right now, this is it. There, nothing projected, nothing from the past wrong, nothing right, wrong, left, up, right. This is just this. Not here, not now, none of these things, because this apparatus doesn't have the ability to really do much more than wipe dishes and do paint, picture, look after some plants, maybe drive a car, like it's very, very simple. Like it can learn things. It can learn things, but it's very, very simple. And so this ego, is survival. It's more than survival. It's got, grandeur. It's got the higher self in it too, because that's an illusion as well. That's just an appearance. Just an appearance. It's not absolute. If we're going to go that far, if we're going to go to nothingness, we have to go even further, that far, beyond perception and non-perception. You have to go that far. Just for a moment. And apperceive what that is. Just to apperceive it, because there's no way that the mind can know it. The mind cannot know it. This as it is of that. Call it life. And it's here, but there's no here. It's this, but there's no this. But in absolute terms, it's just this. It's just this. Everything's included, but nothing is included. You see what I'm saying? Nothing's right, nothing's wrong, but the real, but I can't grasp the real, not with my senses, not with my perception, not with my concepts. Language is inadequate, but what it is beautiful. What it is amazing. There's horrible things in the vicinity of this thing. Horrible at the extremities. There's horrible things at the extremity of this. Not so far away, but not in my world. Everything is beautiful. The self has its intuitions, but the mind, that's just the mind. Where you put it into a set of words or concepts, those things aren't adequate. But where it meets life, it's real. In life is real. But the flux, the movement, time isn't real. The matter, substance isn't. You could see this, get this all at once. In that nothingness, beyond that nothingness. Right? Are you with me?
Yep.
Yeah, no, you can't. Yes, you can't speak about it. You can't speak about it. just life. It's good enough. It's perfect, just as it is. Perfect, just as it is. Just as it is, right there. Right. I can't call it here. It's this. Just this.
Mm-hmm.
And then move forward. Look after the body, breakfast food, love, smiling, sharing, energy, doing, helping. Simple for this thing. Maybe creative things. Writing's good, perhaps. Painting's good, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know what you do, but whatever you do. Yes, but this. There's no issue here. Darkness is a long way away. It can come up in the dream. It can come up in the dream. This is a dream. And all of a sudden you're walking down the road and you could see that there's issues here, there. You could see it. And you avoid it. It was in the dream last night. There were characters in the dream last night. And I could see they were doing things, it's no good. But just watch. It's all right. We had to go a long way of getting to here. That's all right. That's okay. Now we're here. Now we manage it nicely. There's nonsense just here around us. Don't get involved. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like the darkness can be very, very close. But you choose, like there's a way of touching it in love. Because life is also unconditional love. Warmth that emanates. And, there's a lot of goodness that can come out of that. But you don't get involved in the darkness just because there's warmth. You keep clear. It's simple, very, very simple. Yes? And then there's no separation. And everything can exist as it is. Some things for the physical universe have to live at a distance to us. This is the way it needs to be. Good. Not my issue. Nicer things to do. Grow some flowers.
May I say something? As we rise in light and love, part of the journey involves identifying there's something out there. But let me say, if I cease to breathe, if I just go permanently, is Ekomananda still here? Yes or no? Well, Sunyata might be able to sense my existence, but not to others. It's gone. Whatever that I'm thinking, everything is out there, it's gone. Don't go that far. Everything is here, or here, in this. That's why we say this is it. It's not out there. It's all here, within. Darkness does not exist. It exists as mirroring what's here. Because we don't see the self. Because this is what I discovered. I mean, my learning through working with Sunyata so closely. I realized that I never see Ekomananda. I don't see the self. I only see the world outside there. And that's me. So whatever we see in others mirrors back what is here. What is come out from our mouths represents the self.
There, I will have to add something to that. Everything exists as it is. Mine will include darkness. And that's okay, because it needs to be able to work itself through. Coming from the heart is the place of the spirit. Ramana said the opposite side of the heart, the spiritual heart, is the right way of centering into the body. I would agree. I think that would be good, the heart-centeredness. We go into degrees of perhaps maleness and femaleness too, because there's a field that masculine will go into, expand into out of its protectiveness, and be aware of where darkness exists. It understands it's here and there and there. Whereas the feminine doesn't have to, because the feminine can network in a way which is a lot more holistic than the male understands. Feminine can move through things and be untouched, whereas the masculine. So there's a deep listening that needs to happen between the masculine and feminine. That's why we come into relationship. Listen to one another very, very carefully, with love and understanding. The male needs to be soft for the feminine, and be fearless in the world that he sees. Be strong, not to be involved. We don't walk in the darkness. Like know your measure. It's all right for us to be gentlemen with one another, but we know what not to bring into our home. We know what not to bring into our heart. All right. We know, you see, it's all very, very, it's all this. And this isn't about morality, it's about wisdom. It's wisdom. And also for what it is to be fully in our spirit as well. Because I would say there is a validity to the intuitions that are coming forward, but that one's very, very hard to discipline, that particular city power, and it can cause us a lot of trouble too, because it's like seeing through walls. It's very difficult to control this, to manage this. There's a lot of responsibility in it. I would say forget about that for a while and come in closer to the heart, be with beloved, be together, simply. You see what you see, that's all right. And beware, that's also important. That's also important. But be close, be close. Be simple, because simple is great. All greatness happens out of simplicity. All greatness happens out of simplicity. All greatness has to come out of the heart, out of the self, the home. And, you're in a loving relationship now. Cherish it. Cherish it. Become well, become healthy, become more wholesome. rise up, be in the world, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy good food, enjoy a lovely life. Yeah. Accept what's given to you. Do what we can. Do what we can.
Perhaps let's meditate together and to conclude this beautiful morning from Thailand to Adelaide and to the world, to the universe.
Simple, cool, the coolness of the heart, coolness of the breath. Give the heart, gift, breath. Enjoy this simplicity. Breath. Take a deep breath into the heart. Deep, full breath into the heart. Deep, cool breath into the heart. Now, give breath to the spiritual heart, that which reflects the physical heart, and breathe into that. Breathe into that. Thoughts arise, recognize them, let them go. Thoughts arise, let them go. Breathe into the physical heart. Breathe into the opposite side, the spiritual heart. Be centered there. Mind emanate from there, from life. Simplicity. Enjoy life. Love one another. Hold hands. Build life. Build life together. Listen for wisdom. Celebrate life. Life from the heart. Simple. A little bit of time to meditate. Come back into the body. Move in life. Enjoy love. Build together. Be in good company. Seek company which equals your light. Trust love. Not the love that comes out of desire, but the love that comes out of serving the other. Unconditional love. It's a little bit of meditation every day. Meet the absolute. Nothingness. Be safe in the heart. Be safe in the physical heart. Be safe in the spiritual heart. Follow that wisdom. Very easy. We can talk again.
If you feel like to continue to meditate, do so. And we're going to go offline now. Love each other unconditionally.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. So we do this every third Saturday morning. We adjust our schedule as our recently, relocating Sunyata to South Australia. And so that involves a lot of physical movement. And now we settle down, and the love circle is now steadily happening. So we invite all sentient beings to join us, share love in a humble love circle.
Thank you.
Go to peace and love.